Hey guys, it's Joe here again from Phantasmal to tell you about Update 6. Oh man, so just now, I'd actually just finished recording this video, and when I took a look at it, it just showed up as a complete black screen, but with me talking for 10 minutes. So this is my second time round through, so hopefully this goes a little bit better. But at least this time I can actually see the preview screen, and there's actually something going on in there, whereas I didn't notice that before. So, here we go again. Anyway, it's cool, so I get to talk about the game again, which is great. So, let's go through some of the features and things. So the first thing that you may have noticed straight away is that on the top left there is now a mini-map system, so you can actually see where you're going. One of the things that we saw from playthroughs, YouTubes, and playtesting and stuff was time and time again people would actually just completely get lost. And because, you're in the darkness and stuff, that probably doesn't help. A lot of people would get a bit frustrated, so we thought, hey, let's put in a mini-map system. So originally we didn't want to do that because, we wanted to make a roguelike. So basically a game that was really difficult, and that's one of the key elements of a roguelike, or a roguelite in this case. But we just found time and time again people were getting annoyed, they're getting lost, and so we put that in. And what that has meant is that it doesn't actually make the game that much easier after doing quite a bit of playtesting. I mean, you're still between A and B to get to the exit, which you can now see. You can see there's a little green arrow there giving you a bit of an indication of where it is. Between A and B, there's always going to be a lot of challenges. There's going to be creatures and other kinds of hazards and things like that to prevent you from just waltzing right through to the exit. So yeah, we think that will add a lot more depth to the game. So that's kind of cool. The other thing that I kind of talked about last time was the Sanity system. So if you remember from what I talked about in the last video, with the Sanity system, there's a lot more to it. So there's both the concept of sanity and there's the concept of shock. So if you remember, we split those out because with shock, what that would mean is if you came across something that was really scary, all of a sudden your response would be that you would see these hallucinations, like you'd see the blurring of the screen, you hear some sound and stuff like that, and that would happen immediately. If you turned off your light or you looked away or something, then that shock effect would start to fade away very quickly. But now you also have the other stat of sanity, which is more permanent. So as the sanity is reduced, it stays that way until you can find ways of restoring it, like turning on lights or getting some pills and things like that. But the negative aspect of letting your sanity get too low is that you'll start to get a bunch of quite negative effects. So things like you start hearing things, or you start to see way more crazy effects than just the blurring. There's actually more tiers or more levels of insanity now. And so you'll start to see lots of different negative effects progressively getting worse and worse. With the map too, I probably should have pointed this out before, but as you go down on the floor, each floor, the map will change accordingly as well. So yeah, as you can probably see that here. So if I go down a little bit lower, oops, actually I'm going to just deliberately make myself a bit crazy. I see. We've got it. Myself so you can see this, like, oh, he's died, oh, let me find these guys too, and his friend's coming to die. So, I'll talk about him in a little bit. Oh, come on, get away from me. Okay. So, with your sanity as well, as you go through the level, there will be certain events that will be more likely to happen. So the crazier you are, the more kind of the negative, random events will start happening around you. Sometimes they're there to unnerve you, but sometimes they'll actually hurt you as well. So it's best not to be too crazy. Just like in real life. Yeah. So where did that guy go? So Sanity's one thing, and you probably notice here too, with the lighting, we've added a bit more default lighting in, whereas before it was just getting way too dark. So there is some default lighting now. Of course, there are still the light switches. Originally, that we intended to have the light switches act like a sort of a breadcrumb mechanism, so you could, turn these guys on. You could turn these guys on and kind of give you an idea of where you've been before. So you can still kind of do that a little bit, but they're much rarer than they were before because you got the map, so you don't need to have a bit of a breadcrumb system. I don't know where that guy went, but we have a new creature now as well, and we've kind of nicknamed him the weirdo at the moment. So he doesn't actually hurt you; he just follows you around. He's really annoying. He just follows you around the place, just giggling away incessantly. And it's in your best interest, actually, not to, and most of the time, to not actually kill him. Oh, there he is. Because if you kill him, he will alert all the enemies around in the direct vicinity. So it's usually better not to kill him. But he just kind of follows you around. He's just kind of annoying. So you don't have to kill him. You just have to put up with his weird laughter and just that strangeness. So you can see my sanity levels are a lot less now as well. So the elder sign now is starting to turn a bit brighter. You can see some sort of glitching and some graphical effects. I'm still on fairly high sanity, so it's not too bad yet. But as the sanity gets lower, you'll start to see more effects. You start to hear sounds and things like that. In fact, you can hear some weird sounds sort of start to creep in there as well. So that the music and the soundtrack will just start to get weirder and weirder as you become more insane. It's one of the effects. And I'll just walk along, and hopefully one of these random events will happen. But because it's a roguelike, I can't guarantee it. So I'm just going to move on through. I think I'm just about dead too. Oh, you may or may not have noticed, but we've had a whole bunch more voice work done. Just here's it. What was that? So I've had a it just freaked me out actually. So I've had a whole bunch of voice work done. So with the main character now, you can actually hear a whole bunch of new sounds. So that was done by an awesome bloke, a voice actor by the name of Joseph Kelly. And he was actually kind enough to do a whole bunch of really awesome voice work for us. So as you go crazy, you actually start to hear him whimpering, and if he gets hit, you'll start to hear some different grunts and noises and things. And he'll actually talk a little bit. He actually did a great job. So yeah, be sure to to listen out for Joseph Kelly's awesome work. So the other thing, I should just quickly turn this menu off if I could. Is the journal itself. So it's the tiny, a bit of a change, a bit of an upgrade. We did have blue buttons before, so that's now been replaced with a proper journal tab, which I think is great. Just adds a lot more immersion. Whereas before, the blue buttons, they looked out of place, but they're only ever placeholders. So this was done by Jeff and BB, which is really awesome. And you can bring it up by pressing J or hit the actual buttons themselves. And these notes that you pick up, of course, at the end of the level, give you some hint as to what to do in the game. It'll have some gameplay hint to it. And of course, when we first started, the notes were huge. They were 2 pages long, but whoever wants to read those? So we decided consciously to really drop that right down and have maybe a couple of lines max. But the notes are worthwhile picking up because they give you a little bit of backstory, but they give you some gameplay hints as well. So you might be able to hear it. There's the crazy effects again. I'll see if I can get more crazy without dying. One thing we'll be doing in terms of play balancing is making it so that you will go crazy before you die in most instances. So we've got a little bit of work to do before we get to that point. So, yep, I'll just wander along. I am probably going to actually die. Have I used up all my bullets? Oh, okay, here we go. Here's something funny that's happening. I don't know if you saw that, but this entire level, there was a bit of a mini earthquake for it, just really briefly. Okay, so I think I'm going to die anyway, so I'm just going to attract the sleeper. That's the other thing I wanted to talk about. With the sleeper, whenever... Oh, here's a new room. I wonder if something bad happened. Whoa, okie doke. Oh no! Yep, that's the black gas. Yep, there was a random event there. I don't know if you saw that, but there was basically black smoke. A bit like from Lost. Just kind of hit me there. Making me a little bit more crazy. Oh, here's the weirdo again. So, anyway, I'm just going to try and track this sleeper by running around and just being a general nuisance. Oh no, 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 I'm going to die. So with the sleeper now, a lot of the time, actually this would be a perfect time to just go more crazy by looking at this guy. I'll go and fight him, shall I? Yeah, I'm going a little bit crazy. I might die. Super strafe. Killed him. Yeah, killed him. Nice, they flew away. So, as I was saying, with the sleeper, if you ever come across him, you're pretty much doomed. But now we've made it a little bit easier, just a tiny bit. So if you actually summon him by making too much noise, you can actually shoot him to slow him down just a tiny little bit. It won't really... Well, there he is. You can see how to slow him down. It's not going to make a huge difference, but if you're just almost near the exit or something like that, then you can shoot him just to give you that tiny little margin to escape. So it's no longer completely hopeless if you wake him up. Plus, noise-wise, now we've actually balanced it out a little bit, so it's not quite as sensitive as it was before. So you have to make a lot more noise before he'll appear anyway. But still, you can't go through Ramboing through a level, which was the original intention. Here's the final thing I wanted to talk about, which is really cool. Is the shopkeeper. So we've got the whole, we've got an entire cash system in the game now. So that's persistent. So you can see there I've still got $1 on the top right of the screen. When you play the game now, you can pick up a whole bunch of coins, which some of you may have seen before. But that's persistent. So even if you die, you still retain that money. So one of the things we noticed too, and one of the comments that we got all the time, actually through a lot of our reviews, was that people were getting a bit annoyed that, you know, there was no persistence, that when you die, you die. And we said to them, hey, look, you know, it's a roguelike. That's the whole point. You're supposed to be afraid of death, because if you die, you lose everything. But we just had it enough times that we thought, okay, we should probably give players a sense of progression. And I think it's worked out really well. I've been playtesting a lot myself, and I really enjoy it. So whenever you go to a container now, the worst thing before was that the worst item you get was nothing, or perhaps a said monster. But now the worst thing you can, or the least thing you can get, is basically a coin. And if you have enough coins, or sometimes it's not a coin, but it could be even better, especially in the later levels, you get treasures and things like that. That'll give you a heck of a lot more cash. But that's persistent, and what you can do now is you can come back to Egg Chin, our friendly shopkeeper. See, I've got $1 there, and you can buy some items, so flares, keys, and ammo. And you can also save up over time to buy upgrades, like improving your sprint, your sneak, health, etc., etc. You can mouse over to see exactly what kind of upgrades you get, and how much. Also, what sort of benefits. So, for instance, sprint will increase the amount of time you can sprint before you run out of breath. And here's some costs in terms of how much everything is, how expensive everything is. Yeah, so that's it. That's all of Update 6. Now I'm going to check the video and cross my fingers that it's not just a black screen this time, or else I'm going to have to record it for the 3rd time in a row. But hopefully it isn't, and it's recorded. Looks pretty good for the preview. And once again, have a look through. I hope you really enjoy the new content. We put a whole bunch of new stuff in. But as usual, please feel free to give us feedback in terms of what you'd like to see in the game in future, any bugs and things. There are a whole bunch of known issues at the moment that we're trying to work through, but let us know. We always encourage and enjoy your feedback. We're very thankful for that. And until next time, thanks again, and we'll see you soon.